Welcome to Green Up Solutions. Today we're going to be taking a little tour to talk about how we keep material out of the landfill. That's what it always comes down to. When we built this facility, actually the building's back from 1927. It was owned by Ben's Oil, and before that Philmite. So the company back then took old oil, and then reclaimed it and then turned it into new gear oil, motor oil, and different types of oils that were used in production, primarily gear oil and things like that. Why that's important is because we took a building that had been abandoned for 9 years. It was an environmental disaster. The soil was contaminated, the gravel was contaminated, the entire thing is considered to be a brownfield. And we took it, this building that was at one point all about reclaiming, then it's got abandoned and contaminated. And now we've brought back that life of reclaiming the old. So everything we do here is part of our 5-phase recovery process. So we talk about the 5-phase recovery process. We'll hear about that throughout the entire tour. What we're talking about is first is reducing. Reducing is let's use less to get the same things done. Second thing is reusing. Take things in the current state, like this bench, for example. Right? It was a bench, still a bench. We're reusing it. It's a Harley Davidson bench. Actually came out of the VPs, one of the VPs in Harley Davidson, one of their houses. It's a beautiful bench. So God bless, right? Benches to reuse. Then there is repurpose. So take something that was something and turn it into something new. So these oil barrels are a primary example of it. We have oil barrels that at one point housed oil. Now we've repurposed them to be in decor. And you see this everywhere, restaurants and offices, where they take something that was something and then they throw it up against the wall. It's no longer serving its actual purpose, but now it's being repurposed to something new. It's important we understand those nuanced differences. The fourth phase of the recovery process is, fourth state is recycle. We recycle everything we can here. If we can't reuse it or repurpose it, we're going to recycle it. So that's everything from metal, paper, glass, cardboard. We recycle everything we can. And then finally, responsible disposal. And that's very important that we use the word responsible disposal. There's a lot of companies out there that are just going to dispose. They're going to black bag stuff, put it in contractor bags, put it in a dumpster, it goes up to the landfill, and it's things that should not be in landfills. It's e-waste like TVs and VCRs, computers, things like that. It's paints and stains and chemicals that have no purpose being in the landfill. It's fluorescent bulbs and other things that have a hazardous nature to them that can be properly disposed of, but people choose not to. So we talk about the 5-phase recovery process. That's what we do here in this building. Green Up Solutions is the name of our company. We serve the Milwaukee metropolitan area. And Camo Crew Junk Removal is another company we own. That's the company that goes out and brings the material to us so that we can process it here in our facility. So as we go on to the facility further, we talk about the building. The building, like I said, if you look at the pictures here, it shows that this building was full of a bunch of oil tanks. We had 57 above ground oil tanks at one point in this facility. We had 56 of them reclaimed. We spent just as much money on the square footage of the building as we did on the cleaning and recovery process. But the story doesn't start there. The story starts back in the 1930s with this guy. This is my grandfather, Otto Flutcave. He had his recycling and salvage business, Flutcave Salvage, on Richards and Capitol Street on the northwest side of Milwaukee from the mid-30s until his death in '59. Fast forward 50 years later, 2009, I get laid off in 2008. 2009, I'm driving around the north side of Milwaukee in a green van, going up and down the alleys and picking up appliances and scrap on the side of the road, going to the nice neighborhoods like Menominee Falls, going through on trash day, picking up things that other people discarded. When we started this business, we did not charge, we just picked up and found a way to make money with what we found. Since then, we've transformed into a business that gets paid to pick up. We process the material. Our goal is to store it, sort it, and then ship it out to the next best location, keeping it out of the landfill. So let's jump into it. This is Camo Crew Junk Removal. When we bought this building, we built out this space, we demoed it, and we built out this space to house our junk removal company. So when we built it out, it was real simple. It only took my mom like 20 minutes, her and I, on a napkin to figure out where everything is, right? We knew we needed an office, bathroom, kitchen, a operations office or war room, and then a conference room, right? So we took the plan as it was and we built it. So this building originally had timber structure. So this timber here is actually solid. This is actually what's holding up the walls and the beam. And then over here, what's interesting is we put an I-beam in. So here we actually have a steel plate. So this is actually fake, right? So we talk about repurposing. This is a timber, right, that otherwise would have been, thrown in the landfill, potentially shoot up for wood, but we actually repurposed it as decor and wrapped a metal beam for the decor aspect of it. We look in here in our office. Of course, we always got projects laying around. This is just here because, this is Miller Life, or Miller High Life, but it's just a life here in Milwaukee. So these little guys here, and the little thing pops up, as you can see. There's always stuff here. This is stuff that probably one of the guys wants. That's why it's here. But really, the focus of this area here is the kitchen. We built this entire kitchen around this stove. This stove came up from a little old lady's house on 60th and Burleigh in Milwaukee. And what I love about this stove, it's got the double doors, the French doors here. When we cleaned out this house, it was her niece, the lady had passed, and it was her niece that actually facilitated with us. And she said her aunt was meticulous about her stove, cleaned her stove every day. So when we cleaned out that house, we took the stove, we put it in our backyard, put it on a tarp, and it sat there for like a year plus while we bought this building and built it. Then once we built the building, we had it brought in here. We had our appliance guy come in, church it up, clean it up a little bit, and otherwise it's in perfectly working order. We use it once a month when we do family meals. So to us, everything we have in this building is important and it all has a story. When we look throughout the entire warehouse in the building, everything from our tables to our conference room table to our desks, everything came off of jobs, including our stove. Let's fast forward this montage. Coming in, Megan, coming in hot. So in here is the central nervous system of the entire business. So what we have here is our operations office. We call it, or we model it after a TOC, T-O-C, Tactical Operations Command, is what we use in the military. I spent a year in Iraq running trucks. I spent a year in Gitmo working within the facilities. And in both those situations, you have a main nervous system, central command, where it's the eyes and ears of the operation. So our TOC is set up very similar to the military. So the middle board here, this is what's supposed to happen. This is our battlefield. On our right flank, we can see what's happening externally, internally within the building. So we can see what's going on in our parking lot, our motor pool within the building itself. And then externally, we can see where our trucks are. We can see where people are parked, where people are moving. We got a couple of trucks heading back to the shop right now, and we already knew that because they called in our radios. Everything we do here has a military mindset to it. So we took the best of working for small businesses, the military, and huge corporations like Waste Management, knowing how they do it. We took the best of all three worlds to build out not just the nervous system of the operation, but the overall operations within the company. So here we have the Young Guns conference room. Myself and another gentleman named David Bellman started Young Guns with a third partner. What we do is every quarter we put on networking events that are all about empowering, educating, and allowing access to individuals so that we can build the small businesses within our community. We saw there was a huge gap with networking events from your small, chambers, mom and pop businesses, all the way up to the big Tony Robbins events, right? 3-day seminars that are 10 grand. We knew there was a spot in between where you can put on half-day sessions, 4 to 5 hours at around $100, have a lot of meaningful conversations and education, opportunity to meet other individuals. And so we do that as business owners. It's not our primary full-time job. We run businesses, so we put out content and bring in people that speak to us as business owners. And that's why this is important, this conference room. This is where we do the business of the business. It's important you focus on not just in the business like we do in our operations office, but also on the business. This is where we have more strategic conversations about how we're gonna grow the business, grow our influence, ultimately make a world that is sustainable, that relies on small business owners to make the best decisions, keep things out of the landfill, all those BHAGs, those big, hairy, audacious goals I have. This is where it's discussed. What's also interesting about this room, and I love about this room, everything in this room is 100% reclaimed. Everything here came from somewhere else. And that's really important to us because even from the conference room table, we don't want to spend money buying a conference room table. We'd rather invest that money into our employees, into our business, and then use a conference room table. This conference room table in particular came out of Bishop's Woods, which is a commercial park within Brookville, Wisconsin. So what was discarded by somebody else, considered junk, is now the centerpiece of where we conduct business here. I'm also a huge advocate for the whiteboard, and just what was basically on our whiteboard when I walked in is key. Right, we have our 6 buckets of business, which is a class I teach. I teach other entrepreneurs how to make the best out of their business by discussing the 6 buckets of business, whose responsibility they are. We got some notes here on how we're going to work and connect with our realtors. And then Ken, he's not a huge fan of charts, but this chart he loves. This is his favorite chart. It's called the fuck around and find out chart. So that's how Ken talks about, right, in the life, right? The more you fuck around, the more you find out, right? So we got to have a chart because we can be a very serious business, but at the end of the day, we are military, we are blue collar, we do things the way we want. So the fuck around, Ken's fuck around and find out chart is kind of a permanent fixture here. As I was saying that, our guys were walking in the back and they were laughing because, we got a bunch of duders here, right? We haul junk for a living. Like, let's not mince words about it. We're blue collar, hard charging individuals that want to make a difference in this world, but we got to have a little bit of fun and keep it real. All right, welcome MTV Cribs. This is where I live. Basically, this is where I spend my time. So up here is where we shoot all of our content. So whenever you see content from the Trash Talk Business Podcast to some of the things I do with Dylan, to even when I sit down and just do jam sessions, typically it's happening in this room. We got a couple offices up here, periodically used. But this space out here is where we shoot content, do some consulting in this area. It's quiet, it's away from the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day stuff. So up here, it allows us to really concentrate creatively on what we're focusing on. And when we have our marketing company come by, we always take our meetings up here. That's much more collaborative, creative space to work. And here is the command center for all the things that I do. This is where I shoot the podcast. This is where I sit. You can tell it's very lived in. Again, everything you see here, with the exception of my laptop and the screens, everything else here came from somewhere else. And when I talk about like surround yourself with things that inspire you, there's a difference between stuff, right, that just collects and doesn't inspire you, and things that genuinely inspire you. When I sit at my desk and look up, I got the essence of leadership quote I look at, right? And there's a lot of memes and stuff like, oh, you can't just do that. No, but like if you read it and you think it becomes true. I also got a picture of Michael Jordan. That's like the main thing I look at. And I think about his greatness. I think about his competitiveness. I think about how he went out there and just did what he wanted to do. He was willing to get fined by the NBA every day to wear his shoes because he had faith in their ability to sell. That's the kind of killer mindset. I also look at this wall here. It's like the greatest of all time walls. You got Jordan, Gretzky, this picture of Hulk Hogan, Brett Favre, Vince Lombardi, all the best at what they do, finding their way on this wall, because those are the people I want to be surrounded with, even to a point where I got a Balboa sign, so I think about Rocky Balboa. But the most significant thing on this wall, the thing that really hits it for me on this wall, is a sign that came out of a print shop, the Wedding Center on 72nd Greenfield in West Allis, Wisconsin. Our first winter in business, we had this big job. We bid it for like $5,000. We're like, man, we're gonna make so much money. We lost our asses on it because we way underbid the amount of work it was. We had to resell tons of stuff just to break even on that project. But on that project, I found this sign that was engraved by the guy that owned it. And it says, success is 99% failure. And that's absolutely true. You gotta go out there, you gotta fail, because if you're not failing, you're not trying. If you're not trying, you're not doing. I hate the word trying. No, go out there and do. When you're doing the thing, it's either gonna work out or you're gonna learn. Those are the only two outcomes. And when it works out, awesome. Remember what happened. And when it doesn't work out, awesome. You learn what doesn't work. Do it again. The guy that had created the Dyson vacuum, over 5,200 attempts to create the Dyson vacuum. Everyone said he was nuts. You can't sell a vacuum for $399 or $499. Guess what? Best Buy said he could. He went out there, he slayed it. Now everyone knows who Dyson is because he was willing to go out there and fail 99% of the time. Zelda, greatest video game of all time. Put that fucking in there. Pabst Blue Ribbon, it's the best. No other beer compares to Pabst. Dude, the racing sausage, number one. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Don't give me that hot dog, the Italian, the chorizo, or the Polish, the guy, it's wearing like a rugby jersey. No, give me the Lederhosen. Give me the brat, number one. Only here, give me fucking C-3PO. Fucking do a bit on C-3PO. So when I was in Iraq, my nickname was C-3PO. Because I got really goofy elbows and I'm always talking and I'm always fucking running my mouth because it's what I do. Also, C-3PO, the actor who played C-3PO, almost positive he's the only actor that appeared in all 9 of the regular ass Star Wars movies. So C-3PO, he's the best. So he also had this, what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? Right, goes absolutely in line. That's one of the things I see as I'm walking out. All right, my dad. This came from my dad's desk. When you're as great as I am, it's difficult to be humble. I love that, and this is why. In the Army, we take a strengths test. 24 character strengths, we take a test that evaluates all your strengths. No weaknesses, just strengths. That's why I picked that up along my journey, right? We only have strengths, no weaknesses. On that strengths test, humility is my 24th strength. So it's on the list, but it's on the bottom of the list. My top strength is zest for life. I want to get out there. I want to get after it. I want to experience life. So this little saying goes with that. Life for me is real simple. It's 3 simple steps. Here we go. Ready? We go out, we do the fucking thing, right? Got to put the work in before you start running your mouth. Second thing, we tell the fucking world. Don't be humble, be great. Let everybody know what you're doing. And the third thing, the most important thing of the 3, when you're done those 2 things, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Tell the voices in your head you don't need to justify it. Tell the people around you you don't have time for them, that don't want to see you fulfill your dream. Tell society that you're going to go and do it, and you've done it, and you're going to continue to do it despite what they might think or feel about how you're living your life. If you're living a righteous life, you keep doing it. Do not let the pressures within you, within your friends group or family group, or externally within the society you live in, prohibit you from going out and being fucking great. No, dude, yeah, any of this stuff that looks easy like ducking shit like this, and that desk, put it out there. They'll either take it or they won't, you know what I'm saying? All right, so everything back here in the yard, we sort by material type once it gets back here. So we have our MSW, municipal solid waste. That's stuff that is destined for the landfill. There is a percentage, about 20-25% of the material that comes back here that's going right to landfill direct. The reason being is it's no longer able to be reused, recycled, or even repurposed. So we have tubs that we put recycling in. We also have tubs like this that we put ferrous metal in. So that's basically, if it sticks to a magnet, it goes into this. Once this is full, it goes over here, it goes into our 40-yarder. 40-yarder, it's full right now, so that door's got to get closed, and that 40-yarder will get shipped out. We ship out around 80 cubic yards of ferrous material a week. In 6 years of doing this, we've shipped out over 3.6 million pounds of metal. So that's your ferrous and non-ferrous metal. So we've diverted 3.5 million pounds of material from the landfill in 6 years. We're very proud of that, doing that day in and day out. Right here is our wood dumpster. So any wood that is real wood, a little bit of composite wood, goes into that dumpster there. That's all gets shredded. It gets turned into wood chips. Those wood chips end up being landfill cover. So that's the cover they put in between the layers of landfill that will absorb water, also create a nice soft surface and flat surface for trucks to drive on, so they're not leaving huge ruts in the dirt. Over here, my man Phil is processing metal from a very high level point of view. So he's taking things that are metal, he's separating ferrous from non-ferrous. So here on a sewing machine, for example, he's cutting the cord off, it's non-ferrous. The cord is gonna go to a different bucket. That'll go down to get sorted eventually. There'll be number 2 copper wire. While the sewing machine itself, I'll take this, will go in here to our ferrous. It's mostly ferrous. We're not gonna take the time to disconnect or disassemble a sewing machine. So it goes in here. That'll go in a sheet iron or tin, whatever it's called in your area. It gets shredded up, separated, and then it'll be turned into more iron. It'll be turned into cars and you name it. Back here, the guys are unloading. This is one of our newer box trucks. We haven't wrapped it yet, but we use box trucks primarily. 24-foot truck, it's an old Penske truck. So what the guys are doing right now is they're bringing material back here and they're sorting it based on what type of material it is. So they have items that can be reused or repurposed. They have furniture that can get donated. And then we also have our MSW, our single stream recycling, scrap, wood. Everything happens right here. This is what separates us from most junk removal companies. A lot of junk removal companies out there, they're just gonna take their dump trucks, dump trailers, they go right to the landfill, they dump them out. Not what we do here. To us, it's extremely important that we take the time to keep the materials out of the landfill. That's what separates us, and really is my life's mission. Everything kosher, Jerome? How'd your jobs go? All right, what'd you learn today, Marquise? Safety is key. Safety and security before everything else, right? My 5 no shit rules, right? Safe, secure, immoral, illegal, unethical, right? If it doesn't pass the fucking sniff test, we don't do it. Oh, I might want that. I'm gonna put that on the corner. So here's our high-speed methodology. We have some things that we can't donate, like this old radio cabinet. And so, Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill might not want it. So this is super high speed, super proprietary information. What we do is we put it on the corner next to this free sign, and then somebody takes it, right? Recycling, reusing, repurposing, responsibly disposing of stuff is simple. We're in a corner here in an industrial park. We have some stuff that we might not be able to donate, we might not be able to use. We want to give it one last chance before it gets put into our wood dumpster and chewed up. If somebody, like that guy right there, is like, hey, I want that old radio, like it's theirs for the taking. It's really that simple. Allows us to add value to our community while keeping certain materials out of the landfill. This is kind of cool. That's why we can't have nice things. So right here we have our drive-through. This area here is where our trucks park overnight. We also use this as a place to unload when we are using our dump truck or our pickup trucks. Box trucks don't fit in here, but this is where we unload them. This area here is also where we store certain materials that have hazardous properties to them. So here's where we separate all of our fluorescent light bulbs, all of our batteries, all of our paints and stains. We typically don't take a lot of this stuff, but when we do come across it, we want to separate it from everything else. We want to specify that this is not going to go into our trash container, right? It has to be treated with a little bit more care. Even our tube TVs, these all get shipped out as e-waste, but this is the area that we store this material so that it doesn't enter any other areas within our building where it can cause hazard. The last thing we need is a battery breaking, fluorescent bulb breaking, releasing chemicals or gases or liquids into our warehouse. Last thing we want to do is have a situation that's unsafe. All right, there's a lot of guys out there are going to be like, hey, what's the best truck and trailer you should get? And I'm going to fucking die in the hill that says this is the right fucking thing. Let me tell you, pick the fucking tool for the best job. That's the best way to put it. Right now, all the guys are just getting back from their jobs, so I'm going to go over the five different types of trucks we run. All right, so we have our dump trucks, right? We use our dump trucks when we're doing hoarding houses or projects where it's mostly MSW, where we can take this entire load right to the landfill. There are some times that absolutely happens because there's some jobs where, you know, if it's stuff that I'm not gonna put in my own house and I can't recycle it, I'm not gonna bring it back to the warehouse and introduce it into our recycling process. We also have some commercial accounts where they have construction debris and things like that. We can load it in here and take it to a construction debris site. They can process the material there. Think about your wood, your gypsum board, asphalt shingles, things like that. So I absolutely use dump trucks when it matters, mostly construction debris or stuff that is just straight up MSW. The workhorse for our company is our 24-foot box trucks. This is one truck. We have 3 of these box trucks. This is our newest one. It's a Ford F750 with the lift gate. This is the truck that the guys absolutely love. Get a picture of that fucking truck. It's got the new logos, it's got the new wrap, it's badass looking, it's the safest truck with the lift gate, it's the best truck the guys love using. The reason they love using it, we can fit 40 cubic yards of material in there. So that's equivalent to 2.5 trailers, which means we're more efficient. We're burning less fuel by going back and forth. Also, because it's on a lift gate, we're able to keep and save things and protect things better so that when we bring them back to the warehouse, they have a higher probability of being reused, like in a donation situation, or repurposed, you know, again, with donations, Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill, or whoever it is. So we have 3 24-foot box trucks. We have 2 dump trucks. Over here, we have our smaller box trucks. These are 18-foot box trucks. They're the Isuzu 4500 cab overs. We like these trucks because they have a 2-tiered ramp here. The ramp is really nice to get up and down. These are a little bit nicer when it comes to working in the city of Milwaukee, in alleys, tighter areas where you're dealing with trees, possibly power lines, things like that. So we like our 18-foot trucks. These trucks here have 32 cubic yards of capacity, so equivalent to 2 trailers. This was our workhorse back in the day when we were doing a lot of moving. And now it's our everyday truck. We love using them. Guys like using them. They also like the cab overs. I prefer the traditional engine in front. A lot of the guys like the cab overs, so these trucks get the work done, especially in a residential setting. 24-foot box trucks, almost exclusively used or used on our commercial jobs, exclusively when we do commercial jobs, because we love using docks. Docks are safer, more secure, more efficient than anything else. We also run pickup trucks. There are times where we need to run a pickup truck with a open trailer or a pickup truck with a dump trailer because it makes the most sense. For example, if we're doing a shed, something in the backyard, we like to use a pickup truck because sometimes we have to be able to take the pickup truck in the backyard, drop the trailer on the on the driveway or in the road, and we want to use the pickup truck to get in and out. Also, we do demo. We typically use pickup trucks because what we'll do is we'll throw all the scrap and our tools in the bed of the truck, and then we'll also put all the construction debris into our dump trailer, which means we can go dump it out at the landfill or at C&D, and then have the scrap separate already by having it in the pickup truck. So that always works. And then my Jeep, because who doesn't need a fucking Jeep? I love Jeeps. Since I was 18 years old, I've only owned a Jeep as my primary vehicle. I bought a 1993 black Jeep with a soft top. It was $4,200. I haven't looked back. I'm 38 years old. I'm on my 5th Jeep. I love it. That's what we use for sales estimates. It's important that even in your everyday vehicle, you're out there working. When I go to the grocery store, when I go to volleyball, when I go get fuel, I'm out there advertising my company. I'm unashamed. My girlfriend doesn't love it all the time. We're going out for a nice dinner and we park the Jeep, a nice restaurant, but you know what? I'm always advertising because as a small business owner, we never turn it off. All right, let's talk about non-ferrous. This is our non-ferrous operation. It's pretty simple. We have non-ferrous that needs to be sorted, super high-speed sign. We got non-ferrous that needs to be dismantled. This is one of the big challenges I've seen also, is guys will let stuff pile up, myself included. I did this for years, where I'd pile up the stuff that had to get sorted and the stuff that had to get dismantled. So we made it much simpler. This is our area that has to get sorted. Once it overfills this line, we know we have to stop what we're doing and sort it. It's that simple. It's happened in the past. Typically, if you stay on top of it, it's not a problem, but we dedicate this space to storage. We also dedicate certain space to working space. So right here is some working space we have. This is the table we put everything on. So we take buckets like this of wire, we put it on the table. Once it's on the table, it can be sorted very simply. So we put it on the table. This is where we do most of our work. As far as sorting material, so we'll sit here, sort material, like wire, for example, just cut cords, cut things that need to be cut, figure out what grade the material is, and then sort it. With wire, we sort it by 3 different grades, but on the whole, we sort aluminum by 9 different grades. We sort wire by 3 different grades. We sort copper by 3 different grades. We sort stainless by 1 grade. Motors go all together. So as we're doing this, we're conscious of how much time we're putting into it. If I come across stuff on the sorting table here that's going to take me more than, I'd probably say 2 minutes to dismantle, I'm not interested in doing it. Also that, like I cut cords when it gets tangled because it's not worth my time to untangle it. I'd rather just cut it and drive on. So right now what I'm doing is I'm separating most of what I think I'm seeing right now is copper number 2. So I'm separating the copper 1 and or data wire from what I see as copper number 2. Once it's all sorted and it's clean, I'm re-inspecting with my eyes. I've kind of already inspected with my hands, pulled out things I don't like. All this now is copper 2. We make more money on copper 2 wire than any other wire because it's everywhere. Copper 2 wire is on every vacuum, every small appliance, every power cord, it's everywhere. You get some things like data cable like this, phone wire, cat cable, that's fine. That goes to the side. Everything else as I'm going, I inspect it. Everything in my hand I've already inspected, I've seen it, I've cut it. Goes right in here. So here, the whole goal of having an effective non-ferrous area is have a table, have everything where you can place it or throw it simply. I started this operation with a 2-foot by 3-foot table and 5-gallon buckets. I went from 5-gallon buckets to 32-gallon tubs to 64-gallon buckets to 96-gallon buckets to now we have gaylords, right? You don't have to have this much space dedicated to have a good scrapping operation. What you need is a process. Get down the process, understand where you make your money, and then over time you scale it to what's best for you. So I talk about things that just take a few seconds. So if you can do it with like one tool, and again, under 30 seconds, I'm taking this nice pot here, taking these handles off. Once these handles are off, I'm gonna test it, right? 3-step process, always the same process. 3 tools you need, make it simple, right? Every time we do it the same way, right? We test them all until we test them all, right? Doesn't stick to the magnet. Next thing I test is what color is it on the inside? Silver in color. Last test, put the hammer to it, right? If it bounces off and gashes it, it's stainless. If I dent it, it's aluminum. I'm not talking about shiny. I'm not talking about color quality. I'm not talking about weight. I'm talking about objective things that we can test every time. Nice little dent, not a gouge. We got a nice little dent here. This is a nice aluminum pot. It's that simple. All right, we talk about our triple S process. It's to sort it, to store it, and to ship it. So this is one of the areas where we store material that's all on its way outbound. So we sort mattresses. We have mattresses if they're wet or stained. Unfortunately, they have to go to the landfill. If we keep them dry, unstained, we can recycle them. So we've already sorted them. Now we're storing them, and they're ready for shipment. Once we have enough mattresses to fill a box truck, we ship out about every other week. We ship out 40 to 50 mattresses on a box truck. It's about 90 minutes one direction. But what it does is it allows us to keep all those mattresses out of the landfill, which reduces our landfill cost, right? And ultimately keeps more products back into the raw materials goods of the world, which keeps more things, rejuvenated versus just in the landfill to die forever. We also have all this furniture. All of our furniture goes through 2 or 3-step process. We have a church go through it. We have the neighborhood. We have an area where we put furniture out for the neighborhood. If people in the neighborhood want it, on nice days we'll put it outside. And the third process is we donate to Habitat for Humanity. So it's important to us that we put material in here, we store it so it's nice and dry, so it's next best for the next best person. Could not have timed that any better. All right, so I've seen a lot of videos out there on the YouTube on how to cut up a hot tub and make it smaller pieces. Well, we don't do that. We got this badass hot tub dolly. It was like $1,350. When we first started our business 6 years ago, I just said there's no way we're gonna spend $1,500 on a dolly. Someone else bought it, and we have it now, and it's awesome. So it's real simple. We got a hot tub dolly. We will stand up hot tubs right on it, ratchet strap it, walk it right into our enclosed trailer, bring it back to our yard. It's super safe, super effective. It's a better way for us to do it. It's one of the best $1,300 I've spent. You know, your first 5 or 6 hot tubs, it takes you just to make the money back by the time you factor in labor and everything else. But the amount of safety and efficiency it builds in is astronomical. So we used to roll hot tubs, we used to cut hot tubs up. We've done it all with hot tubs. This is the safest, best way. If you don't have stairs, it's coming out of a backyard, you have the egress to do it, this is the best way to haul hot tubs. Right here we have our outbound room. It's important when you're junk removal business, or any business for that matter, that you have areas where you have storage and also working surfaces. The challenge is a lot of people get those areas confused. So this room here is outbound. This area here we have material that's ready to go out. So all this here, these are donatable items. So these are the things that we can take right to Habitat for Humanity. We got books that we can take to half price books. And then we have gaylorded material like e-waste and scrap that's set to go out. So that's everything on this wall is outbound. It's ready to ship as it is. On the right here, these are working gaylords or working bins. So for example, once we have, once the couch is on here, we can move this over there, right? It's ready to go. It'll get shipped out. Gaylords that are not full yet or not weighed yet are over there. Then we also have some stuff like in that back area there. It's stuff that someone has to go through yet to determine what viability it has to be reused or repurposed. Once it's been sorted and determined, then that stuff gets gaylorded, put on a cart, whatever device gets it out of here. That's our goal. Around our warehouse, 30 days is the rule. Everything that's here, we don't want in the warehouse for more than 30 days. Unless we put it up in overhead. Like some scrap or e-waste we'll hold on to beyond 30 days, but it can't be on the ground. It'll go up in the overhead if it's greater than 30 days. That way we keep as much as our surface area available as possible. We went from a 700 square foot garage to a 20,000 square foot warehouse. We told ourselves, we have all the space in the world, we're never gonna fill it. Well, during that process, in those 6 months, we forgot all the lessons learned when we had 700 square feet. We filled up the 20,000 square feet. My challenge to you, I don't care if you have 100 square feet or 100,000 square feet. Utilize your space, mark your space, make sure everybody in your organization knows what the space is for. Are we here to store it? Are we here to sort it? Those are really the only 2 processes in the warehouse. Once you've determined those 2 processes, designate the amount of area you want. Do not keep product any longer than you have to. Maximize the value of everything that comes into the warehouse by keeping it out of the landfill. That's the challenge. That's your charge.